Today on the channel, we're back at it with another set rankings video. This time, the Target exclusive Legends Greatest Hits Series 2 from my least favorite to my favorite.
And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another set rankings video. In today's video, the Target exclusive WWE Mattel Elite Greatest Hits Series 2 Legends Wave is in our crosshairs here. And of course, for all your Greatest Hits Legends, you better hit up Target. But for everything else under the sun, hit up Ringside Collectibles. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10%. And of course, we've been through these set rankings videos a time or two on this very channel. We're going to rank them in order from my least favorite to my favorite. Of course, this is my list, so it's 100% right, just like your list, 100% right as well. Put your list in the comments down below. And this Greatest Hits line, Series 2 here at Target, very fan frustrating, myself included. It took me a while. It took me a couple of weeks of hitting many different targets to finally piece this set together. It was one figure here, two figures here, a figure here. It was a very difficult process, and I know a lot of people, as of filming right now, are struggling as well. These are supposed to be part of that kind of collector's end cap that's in a lot of Targets right now, but now also, as I'm filming this, those are starting to come down in some stores, so your mileage may vary there. But of course, the shelf pegs jam-packed full of Jamal, Rosie, Hulk Hogan, Big Bubba, leaving no space for these. Have to imagine a lot of stores have these in the back room, just waiting to put these out, but they were supposed to go on that end cap. But of course, the box being similar, confusion, you take that business step back, that Target employee doesn't know. They're not deep in the weeds. So I do feel these will eventually get out. They're not going to be in huge quantities like the regular Legend sets, that's for sure. But they will get out there, and you have to imagine we'll start seeing more of these in the future, especially with the newest Legend set starting to go to clearance at Target. I can see some of these sneaking out on the shelf, but very frustrating, as a lot of lines, store exclusives are usually frustrating. But stores, Walmart's, Targets, I think they love that frustration, because guess what? You're going to Target multiple times a day. You're going to Walmart's multiple times a day, weeks, whatever. Going more often than you normally would, guess what? You might swing by there, you might buy dinner, you might pick up a shirt, you might pick up something else as you're going in there. So part of that business strategy madness is what that is. They know store exclusives bring traffic into the stores, and better yet, you're going to buy something. Well, I didn't find anything, but I'm going to buy a monster on the way out. Man, they got you. They won. The retailer won on that. So, got to always remember that. Always got to put your business hat on. But we got 5 figures here. Going to put them in order. Starting at 5. Work our way to number 1. Once again, put your list in the comments down below. We're going to start off at 5. Number 5, easy for me. Going to be IRS. I do feel he is too tall. There's been a lot of controversy, and as our friend Eric Bischoff would say, that creates cash. Not sure in this IRS one. I know Mattel has said, hey, now he matches Ted DiBiase, but then doesn't match any of the other Ted DiBiases. And the old IRS matches the old Ted DiBiase. So, not exactly sure. I guess it's nice that he matches the current Ted DiBiase, but I would have liked to seen him scaled down just a little bit more. It is a little bit too much for this IRS here. So he is coming in at number 5. Also, he's a bit plain Jane. You got to admit it. That's why we don't get tons of IRS figures. But for those that missed out in the back, hey, it's still nice to have an IRS in your collection. So he's coming in at number 5. Number 4 for me, another easy pick. It is going to be King Booker. I enjoy King Booker. I enjoy this figure. However, compared to some of the other ones, not as many differences in this figure over his last one. Of course, the articulation upgrades are always nice, but not enough meat on the old bone for me here. So he's going to go into number 4 slot. Now it gets a little bit more difficult here doing the final 3 for me. It's funny here too, is Ultimate Warrior, my favorite wrestler of all time. The Warlord, my dad's favorite wrestler of all time. And Tugboat, my stepmom's favorite wrestler of all time. So it's absolutely wild how that works and how this came together in this Greatest Hits set. But we're going to list it down, and we're going to go, sorry dad, we're going to go to Warlord at number 3. As you can see, I took all the gear off Warlord on all these re-releases and stuff like this, these upgrade ones. I always try to make him as different as I can from their counterparts. So by taking off his mask, taking out his weapon, taking out his shoulder pads, it makes the wrestling version of Warlord. It looks really good if you have both of them on display. So that's the way I went with this Warlord. He's going to be in his wrestling gear, what he would wrestle in. So the Warlord coming in number 3, a great figure. You know me, I like the Warlord too. Not as much as my dad, but pretty close. I'm a big Powers of Pain guy. And I would love to see more Warlord figures in the future from Mattel or whoever. Let's get that Ultimate Warlord. How about that? But a good-looking figure, definitely worth a pickup, especially if you did not have the last one. You got to get this version of the Warlord. So the Warlord coming in hot at number 3, which leaves us down to the final 2 here. The final 2 in this countdown. I think you guys know where this is going. Ultimate Warrior number 2. Tugboat number 1. Just kidding. There's no way. Tugboat number 2. Ultimate Warrior number 1. And let me explain myself here. Tugboat, at first I was pretty down on this one. I was like, he was a huge peg warmer back in the day. Why, of all people, to get a re-release, why Tugboat? Well, I think this one actually did pretty well for itself, coming all the way in at number 2, and it's closer than you would think at number 2 here. The inclusion of the second head sculpt was an absolute game changer with this one. You got the more tugboat face here out of the package, and they gave you the old one as well, so you can choose your own tugboat adventure. And whenever these releases come, like I always say, I want to make them as different possible. Well, now with the interchangeable hands and 2 different heads for tugboat, they truly can be different on your shelf. You could have one where he's holding the hat, one the hat is on, different heads, different hands on both. Feels almost like 2 totally separate figures, and they are in their own way, but you know what I mean. But I really like this version of Tugboat with the tugboat-inspired head with the little O face going there. Of course, love the hat for him, and then the extra hands, of course, to be able to interchange back and forth. Just a very good Tugboat figure. I don't think we ever need another Tugboat, though I would say that at this point. But much improved over the last one, and a fun figure, especially if you never had this in the past. This Tugboat is a must-have figure. If you ask me, which leads us to number 1, the Ultimate Warrior. Of course, for me, Ultimate Warrior, my favorite wrestler of all time. But man, oh man, what does a tan do for a figure? A beautiful figure before, one of the figures that really got me into collecting and all this madness that surrounds me to this day is the Mattel Ultimate Warrior. This was based off from the old school Legends. Now getting a re-release here, of course, updated paint, updated joints, but the biggest thing here is the updated tan. It's amazing how this brighter tan for him, darker tan, brings out the figure so much more compared to the last one. Check out the video if you missed it. We compared those two, talk about it more in depth. But boy, the tan on this brings it to the next level. One of my favorite Ultimate Warrior figures of all time. If I had to redo a top 10 Ultimate Warrior list, I am pretty sure this one would be jumping into there pretty high because of this tan. His tan against the white looks absolutely amazing. Just an amazing Ultimate Warrior figure. And hopefully everybody has a chance to get that and these figures from this line, because a pretty fun wave, all things considered. And a bit of a sleeper set, I will say. Kind of a lot of moans and groans when these came out, especially on a couple of them. But boy, they really outkicked their coverage, as they do say, on this set here. Outside of that IRS height issues and maybe the lack of changes with Booker T, everything else pretty solid for me as a collector. Warlord, I can mix and match, have one in full regalia, one without. Tugboat got different heads now back and forth, and the tan for Warrior. Enough meat on the bone across the board here to make this set worthwhile, even for old school collectors like myself. So there it is, Series 2 Legends Greatest Hits, the Target exclusive. What are your guys' thoughts? Is this a pickup set for you? A pass set for you? And I can't find it set for you? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bells. We got videos every single day. And then some. We got even more content for you, of course, over on Patreon. Patreon, the best way to support this YouTube channel and all the content it does bring. You can also support the channel at ProStees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. And don't forget social media, SirPaul64 on the X, the _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, and on Instagram. So for Greatest Hits Series 2 Target exclusive Legends, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.